Nobody really knows the real Harry Cobden.
James is going to be riding it.
They're definitely not out of it. Well, if you're not brave enough for Thor Park or whatever it's called, you ain't going to be brave enough for a racehorse, are you?
So, bank holiday weekend. A fun one for you?
Oh, yeah, not too bad.
Well, that sounds like you were just with the kids all weekend.
I was.
Were you?
Yeah.
Don't you find when you're not at work and you're with your kids all weekend, you suddenly realise what hard work really is like?
Yeah. Drags on a bit, though.
Did it?
Little.
It dragged on.
You?
Oh, well, I went up to Newcastle on Friday, and then I drove from Newcastle to Musselburgh, and then back from Musselburgh home, and then I had Coco, my little one, with her friend Jessie for a couple of days. And then yesterday, I had my 4-year anniversary of my missus, which is by absolute a world record for me.
It's good.
I've broken all records here.
That's impressive.
And we went. Our first date was at Thorpe Park, and we went back there yesterday, and they got the new ride there, Hyperia. I love rides and I love the speed, but I'm not great with heights. I have to say, I was absolutely. I mean, terrified wouldn't be quite the right phrase. I'm not terrified. I can't say any bit of it was enjoyable though.
No.
Well, just the bit at the end where you loop.
Yeah.
But I just. Are you one for roller coasters?
No. But it does remind me.
You had a bit of a roller coaster on Q Card, man. Yeah.
No,
Anyway.
you know, you've probably put in the position of a lot of people on X and stuff that, you know, think jockeys or this and that. You need to put them in that position because it's similar to going on a racehorse if you've never done it before. You wouldn't really enjoy it going down to a fence at 30 mile an hour. So.
Oh, I'd love that because I'd see a stride.
Well, if you're not brave enough for Thor Park or whatever it's called, you ain't going to be brave enough for a racehorse, are you?
Okay, I think we'll start now. Thanks for that. Jesus Christ. Okay. Right. Ready?
I'm ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 24 of Unbridled, which means, Paddy, did you get a contract? Did you get a contract at the start of all this?
No.
Didn't you?
No.
Oh, yeah, I remember. I said, don't give him a contract because he might be useless. Yeah, in the contract that you eventually got halfway through the process, 25 shows, which means that we've got one more to complete our lot. We've actually fulfilled our contract just about, and we are still sponsored by BoyleSports. Actually, I've just got to do this because throughout the whole series, someone on YouTube has constantly said this screen is just a little bit higher than that screen. And look, it doesn't move. You can't bring it down. So I did just want to bring that up because it's been a constant theme on YouTube. Episode 24 is brought to you with relative sadness because one of the people who has really helped make this show, even though you hate them, is Nicolas de Boinville. And Nico had a horrific fall at Plumpton the other day. He did send in this picture for us today, and we thank Nico for that. That's Nico with his daughter, and his daughter is called Iola. And there were two things about this picture that I wanted to mention, first of all, before we get on to Nico, Paddy. Firstly, his hair seems to be growing. Well, look, you see, his hair is growing.
Right.
Also, he can't shave. So I suggested chin transplant on top. So there could be a positive outcome after this. But also, on a serious note, Nico updated us with what issues he has at the moment. And he said he's quite happy for us to pass these on because these aren't known, I don't think, everywhere in the big wide world. He's having another MRI scan today. We record Wednesday morning. So he's having another MRI scan today. He's got a fracture in his C7 at the base of his neck, which is why his neck is in that brace thing. And he's broken a few rigs and he says he's feeling pretty banged up. He says, I can't even think at all of the moment. He says, I can't shave and I've got to have this thing on for a bit. So he's in a bad way. First of all, Nico, you've been an absolute legend for this show. I genuinely think the world of you. Paddy hates you. That's just life. But even you, Paddy, would wish Nikolai well, wouldn't you, in this kind of thing?
Yeah, I didn't actually see the fall live, so I went back and watched a horrible fall. And, you know, always brings it back to the dangerous jockeys put themselves in. And yeah, look, it's obviously just hearing about his neck's not nice, that, and hopefully his next MRI scan goes okay. But yeah, get well, Nico, and as I say, this chair will be waiting for you here one day.
Well, never know. It might be here next week.
Might be
if he's well enough. You never know. What he did want me to pass on, he said he wanted to give a massive shout out to Sam Twiston Davis, who stayed down with him in hospital and brought him home. Sammy, absolute legend. Matty Batchelor, he wanted to give a shout out to, who came to visit him in the hospital, and also all the doctors and nurses. Paddy's missus is a nurse. You'd appreciate this a lot. All the doctors and nurses who have been absolutely fantastic, Nico says. So we're obviously only too happy on this show to pass that on. And we just really hope that these MRI scans are positive and that Nico gets back as soon as possible. Obviously, I mean, well-being is the ultimate with Nico. But the flip side of that, this is a sport that we talk about. Jonbon's just around the corner. Possibly Constitution Hill's just around the corner. They'll make declarations for Saturday tomorrow. Should we try Nicky quickly and just see if he's got anywhere further forward? Obviously, Nicky Henderson has been tremendous on this show. We never quite know what he's up to and how busy he is, but we give it a go and see if we can get anything from Nicky. Morning, Nicky. It's Chappers here on the podcast. Have you got 1 minute?
I have got 1 minute.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you wait half an hour, I could probably tell you more. But that's fine. What can I tell you?
Well, just quickly, we've spoken to Nico, who says he's going for an MRI scan today, and he's got obviously a little issue in his neck, a fracture, C7, I think he said. We know that you would wish him all the best, but you've got this big ride coming up at the weekend. Anything sorted yet, or is that something?
Yeah, that's why I say give me half an hour and I'll have it sorted for you.
We'll ring you back, Nicky.
Okay, but I mean, I'm waiting for this MRI, because it'll probably take me to get up right.
I think that's the one thing we know won't be happening, but his hair is growing. We have, on the picture Nico sent us, he's getting more hair, so there is a plus side. We'll give you a call back in half an hour.
Okay, I'm just going to do one thing and then I'll come back to you.
Thank you. Oh, Nicky, do you want to just call us when you're ready?
Yeah, I'm going to do it one way. I mean, I have to do it one way. I'll say it and then I'll ring you straight.
Top man. Thank you, Nicky.
Okay, cheers. Bye.
So that basically in code is that Nicky is going to put something out on his Unibet whatever it is, social media feed. But then he'll give us a call and we can have a chat with him. So that will be great. He will call us back. So yeah, Jonbon, let's leave that, Paddy. We will move on with the show. That is what a live podcast does. And we'll hear from Nicky a little later on. But Nico, we wish you and your family all the best. Lovely picture there of Nico and Iola there. Right, Irish Grand National, Uti Couleurs and Rebecca Curtis. I don't want to blow our trumpet too much, but were we the first podcast before everyone started getting involved where Rebecca Curtis said, I think people should send me better horses?
I think we were.
And Uti Couleurs and Sean Byrne were magical, weren't they?
Yeah, it was very uncomplicated to watch. He had a lovely run around. What a jumper. Jumped so well. Sean got into a lovely rhythm and yeah, it was brilliant. And brilliant for Sean Byrne as well, first real big probably winner. He's had a couple of great ones, but to win the Irish National is special. And in Ireland, Matt's even, it's a massive race. But no, it was a brilliant result and well done to all connections.
Great racing family, isn't it? The Bowens. Peter, his missus, James, Sean, always been delightful, all of them. Well, in different ways, they're different characters as well, but just, you could not meet nicer people.
No, and, just... It's only going to get bigger and better. And yeah, Sean, what a season.
So we give her a call because she was so good to us last week. Let's see if she answers. Probably still a comatose, isn't she? It's not even bringing her. Here we go. Let's see if she answers this week. Now she's a big race winner. She won't answer to us, will she? Now she's had the free publicity. Let's see. Go on, Bex.
Giving you 0 today, Matt.
Oh, we thought now that you're a big race winner, you probably wouldn't answer to a little podcast like ours. That was just everything you hoped for, wasn't it?
Oh, he's absolutely amazing. I'm so chuffed for him, for the art, the course, the owners. It just couldn't have gone more smoothly, really, could it?
It was perfect. It was just perfect jumping, perfect round. You can't have had that many worries, can you? Watching.
No, I suppose it doesn't come overly concerning. He did get a bit warm before the race. But I think there's just so much going on, parades, bands, anthems, long travelling, and the big all gets him a bit, but obviously it didn't affect his performance. And then, he tried to sort of jump his way to the front, and there was that other horse taking him on the whole way, which I thought, oh God, I hope he's, going to get a breather in, not do too much the first couple of miles. But no, none of that seemed to matter. He just did it all really easy in his comfort zone.
I hark back because I remember being at Chepstow, because it was the first time I'd really got to grips with the colours of Haiti Couleurs, who I absolutely loved the colours of the horse, the silks. And I remember when I was there that day, and I remember thinking, I'm pretty sure I even said it to the team at the time, that I think this is a really nice horse in the making. I didn't know he was going to be as good as this, but he's very lightly raced. Is he? Why is he so lightly raced?
Basically because he had quite a bad injury. When after I bought him, he'd obviously running it point to point. I brought him back in as for the novice hurdle season. He was ready to run in Chepstow, and about 2 weeks before we were schooling him, he sliced straight into the bottom of his tendon. Had to have surgery that day. Nearly, life-ending career injury, and. Yeah, so we basically had to miss all of that season, and we didn't know if we were going to get him back. But he had probably, 18 months off. So he's lucky really to be racing at all, let alone doing what he's doing.
So this part of the story I haven't heard before, and it makes your training of him even more special. It's one thing just, having a good horse and making it into an even better horse, but it's another thing bringing a horse back from nearly the dead into a good horse and making him better. You and the team really do deserve so much credit for this.
Oh, thank you. No, in fairness, we've all looked after him well. He's I wouldn't say he's the easiest horse. He's very, very sensitive horse, quite highly strung, but also at the same time very professional in what he does. But I did think a small yard like ours suits him. He's goes out with his friends every day. He's always got company. We're going to like him, haven't we, I guess?
Yeah, he sounds like the equine Paddy Brennan. Highly strung, very sensitive. If you mention Q Card falling at the top of the hill in the Gold Cup, he gets upset. But ultimately, lots of ability.
Yeah, he's loads of ability. And I think one of his main things, he's just so, so tough. I think he just loves doing what he's doing. He's
going to go up into the high 140s, maybe even 150s after that. People have suggested that, could he be a Gold Cup horse? The Grand National has been the obvious thing that's been said to him. In the back of your mind, do you think he could still have 10, 20 pounds more in him to find?
I'm going to allow him to if he's capable of being something like a Gold Cup horse. I'm going to allow him to be that rather than, I could be thinking, and whatever we got now, we're a nice map for the National, put him away, hit him a quiet scenes and a couple of runs over hurdles, but I'm not going to target everything at next year's National. I think he deserved maybe a go in a better race. You'd even maybe think of something like the Charlie Hawthorne if the ground came right early on in the season, see how he ran and something like that, off level weights, and then I don't know. I think plan his career after that.
What about Betfair Chase? I was thinking, because you only get 4 or 5 runners ever, and most of them don't always stay.
No, I think someone like that gets some best to higher rated go to off level weight and see how he goes. And then I think after he's done that, maybe think of the second half of his career where he's going to go.
Yeah.
But he's won twice over 3 mile 5. He does stay really well, but I don't think he necessarily has to have that extended trip. He's not a slow horse. He's, when Jordan got off me, I was literally in second gear most of the race. And I thought there was another circuit to go. He just travels and goes that well.
And we spoke last week people forget quickly in this game, but you've won Stairs Hurdle, Lisnagar Oscar, O'Phelan's Boy was a good horse, Joe Farrell won the Scottish National. You've won loads of big races in your time, but you clearly, I think, again, on the pod last week, you slightly started the conversation was, it's time Curtis got some more. I'm hoping you can tell me the phone has been red hot since the weekend and you've got 10 coming in next week.
Now, obviously, we've had lots of lovely messages, but no more horses as yet. But who knows, next week or so, it'd be nice to get maybe one or two more. I don't obviously want a big mass of horses. That's never something I've aimed for, but to get a few more quality ones in would just be what we need now. It'd be brilliant.
Well, if I ever win the lottery, you're the first stable. Whether you'll want me in the yard is another matter. I could be a pain on the arse, to be honest. But I'll be there. Paddy, she's done well, hasn't she?
She's done really well. Just a couple of things from me, Rebecca. Obviously, I think with Irish pointers especially, you mentioned, he had that injury just before he ran and he had to have all that time off. I sometimes think, with the Irish pointer especially, that's had a tougher young life. I think maybe if one thing we do wrong as buyers, trainers, maybe running them too soon, and maybe the time after was very important to that horse in particular. And okay, we never wish an injury, but it did give him more time to mature. And yeah, it was not, he had all that time off.
The thing I actually say to his owner, I know the horse really got injured, but I said, what, it could have been the making of him that he's with them cut out for a year and just recovered. And because when we had him, he was a little bit light, you could tell he got a couple of runs. So yeah, maybe that was the making of him.
Brilliant.
Yeah, look, many congratulations. So pleased it worked, and let's hope this is Curtis back in the big time. Charlie Hall, bang, and before you know it, you could be in a Gold Cup runner at the Cheltenham Festival. Well done to you and the team, Rebecca.
Yeah, very well done.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Rebecca Curtis, that was superb, wasn't it? A really good victory. And of course, Harry Cobden's been back in the news. He gave Absurd, I thought, a lovely ride in the Plumpton. I know he's the best horse. It's easy when it's the best horse, but you've still got to deliver, Paddy.
Yeah, like most jockeys would have won on that horse, but it's the way he does deliver him. And I always think with Harry Cobden, when you watch him, he gives a horse the easiest time possible. Like that horse, I'm not sure I'm sure it'll run at Punchestown or wherever, but it didn't have a race. It was brilliant to have that horse at Punchestown. The prize money, the crowd, the place was buzzing.
I want to go back to Cheltenham and your house. Do you remember Model or Jockey?
I do.
And as a person who's never been champion, I was surprised that you would diss our current champion jockey. But when it came to Model or Jockey for Harry Cobden, what did you say?
I said Model, but after his recent...
Hold on. You're backtracking already. You're meant to be the hard man of racing.
I'm not backing down. I said
Okay,
Model.
what did you say? Model. And then what happened? Group ones, grade ones after grade one, Captain Cody, one of the slickest performances ever, Absurd the other day, threw the pack on the bend. Have you changed your opinion at all?
No.
So you're just one of these people who never admit you get something wrong?
No.
Okay, well, let's speak to him right now. And there he is. Hello, Harry.
Morning, gents. All okay?
Yeah, I mean, if someone said to you, are you a model or a jockey, what would your response be?
Farmer.
Farmer Cobden. Farmer. Yeah. I mean, he could take farming to a whole new level, couldn't he? Cobden.
He has. I've seen it.
So I'm really interested. I mean, like, would you have, obviously, as we speak to you, which is we record early on a Wednesday morning, you're on your way to Perth, but let's say, when was the last time you last touched a cow, so to speak?
Yesterday.
Okay. And what did you do to it?
I bought a load.
You bought a load of cows?
Yeah, was in Nicholls' yesterday morning, schooled loads of horses, then went round to a few farms, bought a few, and then came up to Carlisle last night.
Look, I know nothing about farming or cows.
You know nothing about horses either. Go on.
Okay, well, you just shut up. It's my podcast, this. You're just a guest. I know nothing about cows, but other when you go to these places to buy them, will there be one by Frankel out of so and so, and you think, yeah, I have that one?
No, I go around buying sort of potential, something that I think I can improve, and ultimately they all end up in the food chain at some point. So I'm just the sort of last man in the line.
So you're looking for something big and girthy.
Yeah, and something I can improve and put a bit of weight on and hopefully make a few quid.
Okay, so these aren't just for milking then. These are for feeding elsewhere in a way.
We do no milking.
Beef.
No milking.
Right.
Beef.
Okay. I mean, it's fascinating. How many cows do you currently have?
Probably 550 at the moment.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've experienced it. You need to go and see it, Matt. Big farm outside.
You're never going to want me down there, is
It's
it?
in kitchen window, massive sheds. I don't think that they have many people working there. It's all sort of machinery. Harry can tell you more, but it is, yeah, it would do you good to go and see it.
Oh,
And you can help them clean the yard.
Does he look like a man who's just about to invite me to come cowing with him? Doesn't really, does he?
No, but you can see it.
And Harry, like, without going into minute details, would you earn more from cows or horse racing?
Horse racing would make the cows look silly,
Matt.
probably.
Right.
He's got more sponsors than Lewis Hamilton. Even you can figure that out.
Yeah, one or two very good ones as well. Okay. Let's talk about horse racing for a minute, Harry. If I said this has been, in football they go a game of two halves. I feel this has been a season of two halves for you. Up to Pick Dory and the Betfair Chase at Ascot. Kind of you were stomping around. When's Nicholls going to have a good horse? When is he going to pull himself together? After that, Cheltenham was in the end magnificent. Aintree was magnificent. And now you're Willie Mullins' best buddy. It's like, it's been a season of two halves, isn't it?
It's been a roller coaster. I'll give you that. I suppose early doors, Chepstow was slow for us, but I did win the Great Wood Hurdle for James Owen, and then, we still had winners, but we just probably weren't operating at the same strike rate, or we didn't have the winners that we normally would have had. So, it was a slow old season until Christmas. But Cheltenham, Aintree, Ayr, I think we'll have to add Plumpton into it now. They were all brilliant.
Now, Paddy, as I say, you are meant to be the hard man out there. Like the kind of guy that when Cobbers came into that weighing room, he himself when you walked in there.
No, he didn't.
What?
He didn't, but go on.
Were you not Roy Keane? I thought you were. Okay. It's all disappointing. I thought you were much more than you're turning out to be. But anyway, how good is champion, yeah? He was a little bit, I think even Cobbers would admit, a little bit lucky to be champion because Sean did get injured at a crucial stage, but he's a champion jockey, and that is a great achievement. How good do you think he is?
Well, look, Harry, I watched him come through to the weigh room, and he used to wear this perfect tie every day, and he was very well dressed, and he was a good example to young lads. But
like a model.
When he's come through the ranks, I thought, when Paul made him stable jockey, I thought, this is coming. He was a young lad, and I thought this is a big, big step for him. And he took it with both hands. But when I was riding, you asked me who I looked up to, and I always watched Ruby Walsh. I just from a race riding point of view, tactical, he was the man I learnt most from. Now I never thought I'd see that again, see them kind of rides, and I've seen them recently from Harry Cobden. His ride in air was just unbelievable. Sublime. But when Ruby used to ride for Paul Nicholls, Paul Nicholls would be like handy, third or fourth. Ruby Walsh would be last jump in the second, but that's what made him so good. He would still get himself into the right position. But again, you look at Plumpton on Monday, Harry Cobden, look, he's going out riding for Willie Mullins like he's riding for anybody else. It's not phasing him, and I think that's massive. He's just got that cool attitude, and he just takes as it comes. He's not phased by Willie Mullins. He'll ride for Willie Mullins the same as he will ride for a small trainer in Somerset, and that's what's brilliant about him.
Do you see that in yourself, Harry? I mean, certainly there's always been, since you've been at Nicholls', this thing that, Nicholls at some stage will go crazy as his stable jockey, and you kind of just sort of say to Nicholls, look, shut up, Paul, and get on with it. Like, you might not say that literally. I don't know. Maybe you have. But you appear to be able to man up to him, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah, I suppose like in terms of riding for all the trainers, Paul is, on the big day, he obviously feels the pressure and things need to happen. And when it doesn't go right and the jockey gets it wrong, he has his moments. But
What's the worst bollocking you've ever had from Nicholls?
I've had a few. Probably I had one. I rode Diego de Charmille at Ascot one day. That was a bad one. And I had another. I've had so many, but maybe one at Exeter. I rode a horse called Mon Successor and dropped my whip astride after the last and got beat on the line.
Oh, and what I find fascinating, Harry, is that idiots like me will say, "Oh, I love Cobden on front runners. Pick Dory, Caldwell Potter. Oh, Cobden can get them to jump from the front. He's magnificent." And then, of course, Cody comes in the Scottish National, and you do exactly the opposite. And what actually, and I'm not just blowing what's it up your what's it, but what happens is exactly the opposite. So what actually we're all seeing is you're just a fantastic rider. But none of us should be surprised about that. You are the champion British jockey, the champion. Like, you should be as good as there is. Is there any aspect of riding you feel you're best at, like the front runners? Or do you just feel, you know what, I can ride anything and I'm just God's gift, whatever it is?
I wouldn't say I'm quite God's gift, but I don't know. I've got plenty of confidence. I always have a plan going out, and I think the key to it is that you can change and adapt part of the way through the race and not let it worry you. Going out to ride Willie's horse the other day, they wanted me in the first half with like a sensible start, but obviously there's 16, 17 lining up, and I was happy to take a lead and float round and get the horse into rhythm. I think this day and age, we probably worry about our position and where the trainers and owners want us to be rather than actually just riding the horse.
I'm interested, Harry, you said after the Scottish National that you just say to kind of ride free, just do what you want pretty much. And that you feel is probably the best way for jockeys. Like, I feel talking to you that, again, you're probably not going to say this for political reasons as much as any, but you would go out almost thinking like, look, I'm the jockey, you're the trainer, leave this bit to me. I don't need you to be telling me this or that. Just leave it to me. Is that kind of how you would like to ride races, really? Like, you've done your training thing, you've got the horse fit, now leave this bit to me.
Yeah, but like Paul Nicholls obviously likes his horses ridden handy. So, to start with, when I first got the job, I was probably riding his horses to keep him happy and get them in the right position. Whereas now I've got much more of a free hand to do as I please, and if they're going too fast and I'm further back, and it's fine. He just sort of accepts it and leaves me to it now. So the other day Jubilee Alpha was a good example around Cheltenham. I dropped her in, got her settled. She went round slightly behind the bridle at an early stage, cruised down the hill, turned in, away you went. But if I'd have started handy, I would have been too keen and she would have fallen in a hole.
Well, I think, Harry, we speak about it a lot in here, a lot of younger jockeys under a lot of pressure. But I feel for you, for example, walking out to the parade ring to ride in the Scottish National, you're pretty much going to ride that race the same as if it's a handicap chase around Newbury. And I think that's where you've got an advantage. And you're probably going to get a bit more respect from trainers as well. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but there's so many young lads, or not even young lads, going out to ride for trainers in the Scottish National, and you speak about position and that. They're not even thinking of what speed they're going. They're only thinking of, he told me I've got to be handy, so they got to be handy in it. I think if we could get a bit of help from anyone, obviously you're in a fortunate position. Sean Bowen, Harry Skelton, to name a couple. But trainers, we need to bring them into this a little bit. And I think moving forward, like I've said to you over the odd message, that they need to do a bit more and just be a little bit more relaxed about tactics. And like, it's not a case of ride to survive, but there's always another day. And, yes, you don't want to give too many people around you an advantage, because when they're going crazy like they did in the Scottish National, it's a massive advantage to having your experience and belief. But yeah, that's the only thing I would say for you. You're in a very fortunate position that a trainer probably isn't going to tell Harry Cobden what to do, but you've got yourself into that position. And Harry, just moving on to Willie Mullins, how did it come about you rode for Willie in the first place?
Well, the first ride I had from was in the Triumph, and they, I think he had 11 runners in that, and then after that it was the Scottish National. So yeah, Ruby actually fancied the horse that I rode, but obviously all the other lads had their designated rides, and I was probably sixth string on the day, and anyway, it managed to work out well, and that horse won. And thankfully, Fairy House was on Sunday and Monday, hence why the Irish lads didn't come over, and I got an opportunity at Plumpton. So you just need a bit of luck and be in the right place at the right time. And thankfully, Stam Strong answered the phone, and David Casey and Willie and Ruby put me down on the right horses.
I love the little fist pump at the line in the Scottish National. Did you get a right, as a jockey, did you get a right kick out of that? Like, is that, when you cross the line, is that like, walking into the nightclub and getting a result?
I was winning that race, jumping the ditch down the back. All I had to do was just stay on and keep them into a rhythm. And it's just quite nice when you have a plan going out and they go fast, and the horse wasn't a complete penalty kick in the race. I didn't think, just because his jumping was only okay, and I followed him around Cheltenham, and he was a bit brave, a bit keen, and he settled well and jumped well. Made one little mistake, I think, at the fifth fence, but apart from that, it was fairly plain sailing. When it all comes together in a big race like that, it's pretty satisfying.
And Harry, you're sorry, my chair just
chair down,
Paddy. My chair just went down there. You're in a massive demand at the moment. I know some of the team that look after you. You are doing like modelling shoots, you're on social media, you're doing this podcast for an hour on end. Like, every minute of your day is taken up. Then you've got the horses, then cows. How are you finding that? Because your kind of life was kind of chilled in some ways, in that you did your thing, a little bit of shooting, a little bit of cowing, a little bit of horse racing. Now I imagine almost 24/7 you're in demand. But when we see the fall that Nico had the other day, is it almost a case in this game that if you're in demand, you kind of have to just take what you can while you can, because you never know when it could be that last day of riding?
I love money, Matt, and
do you genuinely though? Are you? Because you're not.
Oh, I do.
You do.
I do. Yeah,
you're John Franklin.
Yeah, and I'm 26 now. Well, just say I've got 5-10 years left of my career. I want to make the most of it. Grab every opportunity by both hands and ride as many winners as I can, make as much money as I can, and hopefully when Harry Cobden retires from race riding, he can retire and put his feet up and move on to other things.
Yeah, I mean, you won't put your feet up. Big Money Harry then, which is this kind of nickname you've got over the years. Big Money Harry moving forward, are you going to be more Frankie Dettori than, say, Richard Johnson going for everything? Like, has your life now changed? Like, you're in the fast lane, you want the graded races. That's the Cobden moving forward.
The graded races are definitely the really important ones, aren't they? But like, if John McConnell called up on Wednesday morning and said, "You've got one at Perth, it'll win in the novice hurdle," I'd be there. So yeah, it doesn't worry me. I'll go anywhere for a winner. What about the Paddy Brennan Racing Club? If they called up and said they wanted you, would you say yes, or would you say no? I remember him. Sod off. The Paddy Brennan Racing Club doesn't miss. That's the only thing. If Paddy Brennan says it's going to win, it normally wins. So yeah, I'd go into it. He is going well. If anyone was champion other than you, am I putting words in your mouth in saying you're pleased it's Sean Bowen? Oh, delighted. Yeah, I thought he was very unlucky not to win it last year, and it's never really nice to to beat someone when they've been on the sidelines for 6 weeks. I mean, it was great to win, but at the same time,
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
look,
saying there
you
was
look
a
really
sour
miserable at
taste,
the
but-
time when you beat him.
Well, I'm not saying there's a sour taste, but it's just it would have been nice to have, actually won without him getting injured. So, he's had to wait an extra year, but he's ridden brilliantly all season. I don't know what he's rode, nearly 170 winners. Obviously, capped it with the Irish national this week. So, no, if anyone deserves it, it's him. And he's just got a different mindset to me. I'm happy to just go along and ride the quality and as many winners as I can. Whereas, like the other day, we'll use an example. He rode a 251 shot round Newbury, purely because he said it'll win races in the summer and a maiden hurdle. So that's the mindset difference between me and him.
And you're going to Punchestown mainly at this minute for Paul Nicholls, at least that's far as we know. You might actually, look at that. Look at those locks. That was the look of it. Can you just do that one more time for our female viewers, Harry, please? Look at that, lads and girls. As far as we know, Willie Mullins hasn't already tapped you up, but he might have done. You go there, you're gonna walk around Punchestown, chest puffed out. I was the champion jockey last week. I know I'm not and also ran now, but I was champion. Give me some rides. Is that kind of how you'll be looking at it? Like, hopefully, obviously, some for Willie Mullins.
Well, obviously, Paul has got Rabot there, so I'm going to be there for one day anyway, and it's very easy to sit at home and have a rest. But it's top quality racing over there, great prize money, good horses. I think I'm going to drive my car over on Monday evening, stay there for the whole week, possibly ride out for some Irish trainers in the mornings and ride in Punchestown as much as I can if, I can get good rides.
Right, you've got 3 under through 5 and Pick Dory. Now, if you said to Nicholls, I'd like to ride the Cody rather than 3 under through 5, what happens then?
I probably won't even be mentioned.
As in, you'll have to ride 3 under through 5.
I won't even have the conversation because Max McNeil is a great owner for Paul. Obviously, I'm Paul's stable jockey, so there's a time and a place when to get off of Paul's horses, and Saturday is probably not the day.
Yeah.
If he was 100 to 1 and had absolutely no chance at all, then I would have the conversation. But you've got to be loyal to the people that look after you, and Saturday is one of those days where you might not be riding the best horse, but you're doing the right thing, and in the long run, it'll pay off.
And Pick Dory is due to run, I think. And to be honest with you, just as for pure racing poetry, to get a bit la-di-da about it all, I thought that Betfair Chase win was one of the moments of the season. I mean, he was, in my opinion, Harry, just faultless from start to finish. So were you.
Yeah, he's not actually the easiest horse to ride in the world either. He's a bit on his forehand, but you just gotta let him get on with it. Leave him alone, and you can help a horse like him a little bit, but to be honest with you, just let him jump and gallop, isn't it?
There is another slightly more jovial side, isn't there, Harry? And there are things about you not everyone knows.
We were, last night we were sat in Lorcan and Murtagh's mother and father's kitchen, and they were having a right old laugh because nobody really knows the real Harry Cobden.
How would you describe the real? If we said, can the real Harry Cobden stand up now and say in a few words what he's like? How would you describe him?
I don't know. I think it's better off getting Stuart to describe me.
Stuart?
He drives me every day.
He calls himself Ronnie Pickering sometimes. And elbow.
Okay, so the thing that I think most people don't know about Harry Cobden is the following. And rather than me say this, I think it's best that we let Sean Bowen, your biggest rival, explain.
He's known for having a fairly large one now, and he had a full one day. I'm got stood on in that area, and the doctor said he was fairly sore. So the doctor said, "Right, I'll take a look," and he said, "Yeah, it does look a bit inflamed." He said, "No, doc, it's always like that."
Do you recognise that? I mean, Harry, is this why this relationship has worked so well for 4 years?
Quite possibly, Matt. I couldn't possibly say, but yeah, no, that is a true story. I can't deny that.
Harry, you are champion. You're a good sport. The last bit of that conversation obviously was a lot more fun than the rest of it. And I think the biggest thing, I think everyone has been shown that you can ride any horse any way, and you're just a very natural talent in all sorts of ways. Paddy's jealous of you. He's so jealous of your looks. He's jealous of your skills. He's jealous of your media output and
how much he's earning.
And I'm jealous of all your cows. We're just jealous of you. Have a safe journey up to Perth, and thank you for sparing so much time with us. And just be careful of your bits on the way round when you're riding later.
All the best.
Cheers, Harry. Have a good day. Care. Of course, Plumpton was pumped up very much by this trainers' champion. I love it. I have to say, I love it. I love to see two sluggers like heavyweight boxers. Who do you think is going to win? We should remind viewers at this stage that you are in one camp.
Well, yeah, obviously go in there, ride out a little bit. Be lovely to see them win, but you know they are up against it, and they've become the underdog, but they're definitely not out of it. And a lot will depend on what happens between now and Friday, really.
At the time of speaking, he's about 55 or grand ahead, I think.
Yeah, if he could get that over 100, it could make a big swing. And then, Matt, going into Sandown, the ground, you know what, we're going to maybe speak to the clerk of the course in a minute, but yeah, like ground could be the big decider of what happens at Sandown.
Yeah, because obviously this podcast is going to go out on a Wednesday, the time it goes out, Wednesday evening. The declarations will be on Thursday, so some of this will be old news. But Richie did just leave me a message, and there was a bit of the message that was quite interesting. This was the bit that was it was all interesting, Rich, just in case you're watching. But this bit.
One of the big guns we run, although the ground, looking at the ground this morning, this looks like it's good to firm, and I know she didn't, particularly the mare didn't like the ground at Aintree, but we'll see.
So that was Lossy Mouse. He said she didn't really like the ground. It was good to firm this morning. Let's try and catch up with Andrew Cooper, because there's been lots of rain overnight. There were floods on the road on the way in. You would kind of think that the ground had softened up. Whether Andrew will be a very busy man taking calls from hundreds of people, so we can't guarantee he will answer us. But you never quite know. It would be lovely to get a ground report. But he could be very busy right now.
Hi, this is Andrew Cooper. I'm sorry to update your call right now, but please leave a message and I'll get back to you.
He's actually texted me. He said, can I call you later?
The drier the ground probably gives Dan a little bit of hope.
Yeah. I mean, there is rain around. There's meant to be more rain this week as well.
It's pushed away a bit. I could be wrong. I'm not the Met Office, Matt.
Yeah. The other thing Rich was saying just before I played that message was, what he was saying was, it depends a little bit how Skelton does today, like how many Willie throws. But it's a very dangerous game, isn't it? I'd say Willie's better off declaring and not running than not declaring, just in case Skelton goes crazy Thursday and Friday.
You'd have to say Gaelic Warrior would like Sandown, right-handed. I thought he would be an interesting runner if he ran.
Should be better, right?
Yeah. So look, there's loads. It's brilliant for anyone in jump racing, especially.
Do you remember before when this happened, and Willie ended up withdrawing a whole lot once he'd won it, or once he couldn't win it? I can't remember either way. But he got into all, like, there was a bit of a sour taste in the mouth from one or two people, because they thought so-and-so was running at Sandown and then it didn't need to run.
Okay.
And so he didn't run it. So it is it's not quite as easy as just declaring and taking the fines if you don't need to run the horses. It's a tricky one. I think it does become tricky. I think the sport as a whole should understand this situation more and actually should be quite forgiving, because at the end of the day, we want the horses to run, but we don't want them to run if they don't have to, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there could be more give and take with Mullins over this, but maybe not.
But it's a different situation this year, Matt, because, Willie is going to go in behind to Sandown, and I think last year he wasn't behind. So, yeah, he'll have to run as many as he can by the looks of it.
Okay, so Sandown as a whole, obviously we've got this battle going on. But Jonbon, we're going to hopefully hear from Nicky quite shortly. he should win, shouldn't he? I mean, Energumen and El Fabiolo, even if they ran, they're not going to beat Jonbon if he's on his game, are they?
I think, yeah, the ground will be definitely, I think Jonbon, the better the ground, the better it is for him, so he'll be very hard to beat. He loves
Clerk of the course, Andrew Cooper, has rung back. What a legend you are, Coops. Honestly, this podcast and the way people in the sport serve us and respond to us when we ask is a beautiful thing, and I thank you very much.
Pleasure.
So we've just had Rich Ritchie just telling us that he wouldn't want to run. Well, he didn't think Lossiemouth enjoyed the ground at Aintree, and he said this morning it's good to firm. I imagine it might have changed because there's been quite a bit of rain overnight. Well, what's the jumps tracks looking like?
Yeah, I've just walked them, Matt, actually. I would say, I think I'm actually going to call them both good.
Right.
As we speak. Now, it's interesting. The tracks haven't been good to firm. I tell you, all week I've been describing Sandown as good to firm in places on both jump courses. And sort of saying that in ratio terms, I reckon they're about sort of 80-20. Now, we've been watering for 5 or 6 weeks. You know, I've never known a sort of dry spell like it. And yes, we had a bit of rain last night. Not as much. Sandown had about 6.5 millimetres of rain last night. We were forecast maybe up to 10, and there's somewhere like Epsom, not far from here, actually had 15 millimetres of rain last night. But Sandown 6.5. I just walked it, and as I say, I think I'm going to update the ground on both the chase and the hurdle course here to good with watering continuing, because I think we sort of got on top of it, but we'll need to keep going with the watering. There's no rain now for us until possibly Friday night into Saturday. But I think it's got to a stage where I think myself and the team here would be comfortable to call it good. But I hesitate to say we're ever going to be calling it anything any easier than that, up to and including Saturday.
So basically, in layman's terms, it's good and watering to maintain at good. Is that roughly how you would see it?
That's exactly how I'd see it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. As I say, they're a bit on the slower side of good, as always is the case with watering as we speak. But there are bits that, which were watered yesterday, which dry back to a sort of just about jumping good, and you have to keep on top of, So we'll just keep going with it, avoiding the flat circuit as we can do. I know the flat community get quite animated about sort of thinking we're trying to, but we can water this place. It's difficult, but we can do it to avoid sort of doubling up on watering between the flat and the jump track.
Coops, I can't thank you so much for answering, because I genuinely mean that, because I know how many calls you'll be taking from trainers, and particularly in the current situation with all the championship going on and everything, you must be answering almost every hour an update. So to take the time out for us means a lot. Appreciate it.
No problem, Matt. No problem.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Matt.
So good. So there's not. I think that what that tells us is there's no problem on the ground for Lossiemouth. Like, it's not going to be too fast for her.
No, but it's not going to be good soft either. Look, it's going to be good ground, Matt. You've got two ways of describing good ground. More wintertime good, you'll always think it's the easy side. Well, I think like Andrew said there, it'll be good, but there won't be any easier side this time of year.
Yeah.
Unless they get a bit more rain than what's forecast Friday night.
The big race could decide the Trainers' Championship. Like, what we have to say, there's nearly £700,000 worth of prize money up for grabs. Skelton's 50 grand ahead. So it's very obvious that Mullins could absolutely blitz. He could win the championship by 200 grand in there. Remember when he was neck and neck?
Yeah.
He won by miles once upon a time in Ireland. Obviously, the big race is the Bet365 Gold Cup. It's due off at 3:35. Mullins has High Class Hero, Captain Cody, Dancing City, top 3 in the market. But they're roughly the same price as Skelton's Ho Jolie Smoke. So they're all roughly the same prices.
But can we, before we move on to that, can we just go to the start of the card, Matt? The first race is 100 grand handicap.
Well, that could be run by Ollie Murphy. Actually.
No, but Dan or Willie doesn't have a runner in that.
No.
So, and it's surprising that Dan didn't really, because all the qualifiers are over here. I wasn't surprised Willie didn't have a runner in, because I didn't think he'd have Anton qualified. But we have to wait till the second race before Anton changes. So I just wanted to point that out before we move on to the big race. And go on. Well,
that second race is Gaelic Warrior against Pick Dory. Gaelic Warrior will have to. I mean, Pick Dory is a pretty useful horse on that kind of surface, isn't he? And like he'll bounce off it. He won't be easy to pick up for Gaelic Warrior. Like the thing with Pic D'Orhy is he doesn't make mistakes. Gaelic Warrior is going to have to be on his A game just to keep up, isn't he? You won't want him having any sloppy jumping or anything like that.
No, but I think right-handed will really suit Gaelic Warrior.
Yeah, he left-handed.
And like we spoke to Willie on the show, Patrick, what a ride. That was unbelievable to get him to win an entry. I do think Sandown will suit him. He's a relatively fresh horse. Hasn't run a lot this season. Pic D'Orhy, I'm not sure how much he's ran at Sandown, Matt, and there is, no matter what the ground is, there is quite a hill at the very end, but it'll be a good race.
Say.
Like, it'll be a good race, and obviously Dan Skelton will be very keen for Pic D'Orhy to win.
Should we just see if we can get Paul Nicholls and just see what he's just update his plans very quickly? If everyone answers us today. Still waiting for Hendo to call back, mind you. That was almost an hour ago, and he said half an hour. Hi, Paul. How are you, champ? We're on live on Unbridled podcast. Live. Yeah,
we don't get cut off.
No. We've had the current champion jockey, soon to be former champion jockey on, and he was speaking very highly of you, which is good news, I think.
Good man, yeah.
Tell me, what are you due to run on Saturday? What do you think you'll declare tomorrow?
I should declare 3 in the first race, that novice handicap final.
Cobden on Couleurs?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I think Harry Cobden's going to ride Fazal and Freddie Gingell Nardaran. Pic D'Orhy and Hitman.
Right, okay.
300 through 5.
Who would ride Hitman? Skelton? No.
Freddie Gingell ride Hitman.
Right, yeah, okay, yeah.
300 through 5 in the Bet365 with Harry. The Insurrection, he'll run in the novice chase, and I think that's probably most of them.
I hasten to add that Mr. Cobden said that he wouldn't even ask you this question, but if Cobden had come to you and said, can I ride Captain Cody over 300 through 5, what would your answer have been?
Speak to Max with Neil.
Yeah.
Okay,
and is Max a reasonable man?
Well, it's a difficult one, and he's won on 300 through 5. He's stable jockey.
Yeah.
Max supports says he won on Quebecer the other day. So Harry, when he asked a question, I won't ask him. It's simple as that. I helped him out on the weekend. I'd let him off half a door to ride. Absurd, and you just work together when you can. But there are times when if you stay with jockey, you'll stick with your team.
Yeah. And in some ways, that's why this relationship works so well, isn't it? That you both understand each other probably as well as you've almost understood any stable jockey you've had.
Exactly. I mean, it's worked really well. So, and if I can help him where I can, I will, and vice versa. And like on Saturday, Sunday was a great example. Or Monday, sorry, with in the Sussex Champion Chase, Harry rode Matterhorn, and we knew it was a good idea to take £5 off Sunbrook because he had that £9 penalty. So, yeah, you've got to work together, and Harry is a big team player, and that's what you need.
And I was saying to Harry, it's been kind of a season of two halves. From the moment Pic D'Orhy won that chase at Ascot, your stable really propelled forward. And you'll have actually ended this camp. I know you want to be champion every season, but you'll have actually ended thinking, this has been quite good.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've not far off 100 winners and more importantly, 2.5 million in prize money. But it hasn't been one of our best seasons. But you can't get the same every year. For some reason, we had a slow start. And then January and early February, the horses were definitely wrong. But I don't think we were alone in that. But they picked up well, and we got a lot of lovely horses to look forward to the future. And that's what it's all about.
Horrible question. But just in case our series gets another one next year, we can always play it back. By the end of next season, what do you think Khalif de Burley will have won?
Well, I could see him running in the champion chase, let's put it that way. Probably start him in the Horden Gold Cup and then work away from there. But I think he could be a really smart 2-mile chaser.
What do you think Coolwell Potter will have won?
Well, I think he's going to take a step forward. I mean, he was progressing nicely. He probably wasn't his best the last day. He's a bit not the easiest to train. He's the sort of also probably start him in the Betfair chase because I think that would suit him, go left-handed, and then he'll tell us after that. Like all of them, you've got to be open-minded at this stage.
Yeah, but it's nice just to have those conversations to be able to think about it. Yeah.
And I do particularly like Khalif de Burley. He's an E5. He's bound to improve, and he's got it's a really smart embryonic 2-mile chaser, so he could be really interesting.
Paul, as always, thanks so much for helping us out and coming on and always answering the phone. It really makes a massive difference for us. We appreciate it.
Anytime, Matt.
Cheers, Paul.
Cheers.
So there we go. And I think that on that relationship with Cobden Nicholls both ways. Look, what a trainer wants is a happy stable jockey, doesn't it? And if he isn't quite having the winners, but he can pick up something from Willie Mullins, that makes your jockey happy. You know, it's just a happy life, happy wife, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but Harry Cobden will also realise, obviously, Willie came into his life this season, Scottish National. So, you know, Paul's been there all year and he'll be there all next season. So it works both ways, and yeah, good for both of them.
You know, the weird thing is, I mean, Rebecca Curtis didn't say this, I said it, but we could have already have Betfair Chase now, Couleurs Potter against Tutti Couleurs.
Yeah.
Could have that. Like, I don't know if I'd start Couleurs Potter in the Betfair Chase, I've got to say.
Well, not on heavy ground.
Well, but remember, this is all, when he was a Gordon Elliott, all his form was in heavy ground. And everyone was saying he's a mudlark, and that's why he's not winning. And then he's bounced off good to firm. It's very weird.
All row and chase, no? 2.5 entry. Lovely for a minute.
Paddy, Nicky's on the line. He's called back. Hold on. Nicky?
Hi, Matt.
Hi, good. Thanks so much for calling back. Like, we've had such an incredible response from people calling us back today. It really worked so well. Okay, what's the latest news? What's happening with Nico? We've spoken about him earlier. He's going to go and get an MRI scan today. He's got this T7 fracture in his neck, which doesn't sound very nice.
No, it's not. And I mean, I think he's very uncomfortable with it because there's some ribs as well that have got fractures. So apart from being sort of, yeah, it's a horrible situation. You must be very uncomfortable, and you know it can't be nice sort of missing what he's he's going to miss over the next 10 days, where you know he's so involved in the whole build up to it, and you know it's basically that part of it is difficult for us. That's why he's such a good sort of stable jockey, in that he's sort of part of the whole setup.
Yeah, I mean, he's as close to family as you can really get, isn't he? I mean,
yeah, correct. Absolutely. I agree with that. And you know, we've got to, I mean, he's still on the end of the phone, thank goodness. And, you know, he'd be there to help the whole way through, which is vitally important because there are questions that need answering and he knows how to ask the questions.
So the first question is, who would be the most suitable jockey for Jonbon? It may be that you actually don't have much say in that and you just get told. What's the situation?
That's never the case.
Right.
No. I mean, look, Mark Walsh is going to ride Jonbon.
Right. Who's JP's number one in Ireland? Yep.
Yeah. And he came over this morning and sat on him, and we jumped. AP was with us. We jumped 4 fences. We then went up and jumped the jockey club fences as well, which was terrific. And he came over last night. He was about 10 minutes to 7 barrows. You don't, you know, with Jonbon, Paddy, who rides him every day, take Paddy off him, and you create a havoc to say when Nico scores him. We don't let him sit on it for more than 5 minutes.
Right.
That's the horse's mentality. But he's in great form, and he jumped beautifully, and so we're all on. We just hope that ground is. We had some good rain last night, and you know, I hope that's got to Sandown. I haven't had a chance to speak to them yet this morning, but you know, as long as the ground is okay, we'll. You know, the plan is to be there, and it'll be. There's plenty of entries, but you know who's most of them are.
We have spoken to Andrew Cooper, who has said he's going to change both courses to good, both jumps courses good, and he's going to water to maintain good. He said it won't get. He doesn't think softer than good, but it will be good.
Yeah. Well, again, we'll have to take a look. You know, a big boy. We're not to take any chances. That's for sure.
And didn't he just at Aintree? Did he get just a? He's a horse, I think. Doesn't he just wear his nerves a little bit sometimes? Like can get a bit frisky.
Oh, of course he can. He always has done. But he's so many times better than what he was. It's unbelievable.
Mm.
You know, I mean, that's why we give him that school just before he runs. I mean, ideally, it would have been Nico was going to school him on Monday or Tuesday, whatever. On Tuesday, yeah. And, you know, that's what flicks the switch in him. Once you've done that, he's on red alert because he knows what's coming next. That tells him a race is on.
He's a fascinating horse, Nicky, because obviously he has his tremendous form figures, which are almost unbelievable when you look at them. But and usually he is a brilliant jumper, and he's been a brilliant jumper for all the jockeys that have ever been on him. But he has the ability just to make a mistake. We've seen that twice now in the Clarence House and in the Queen Mother Champion Chase. He's not totally simple, is he?
No, but I mean, Nico has found a very big key to him.
Mm.
I know he's going to be able to, having done that, he's going to be able to hand the key over. And I think, Nico knows, and so does everybody who Paddy's and rides him, but what you do with him, we do understand him pretty well.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that Nico found what really unlocks him as far as jumping's concerned. Yeah, of course he can make a mistake, and I mean, I think we know why. But like at Aintree, they went some gallop. This horse he's got some blistering pace.
Yeah.
He can go as fast as you like, and he loves to. That's his game.
He's ready. I was in the car with my other half, who isn't a horse racing person yesterday, and when the news on Nico's MRIs and everything was coming through, I was saying, I just hope Nicky doesn't run Constitution Hill now, because I cannot imagine that horse running without Nico on top. But obviously, you have to look at these things differently to that. You've got an owner with big prize money up for grabs. You've had 2 falls, etc. Can you imagine Constitution Hill running without Nico on him?
No, I mean, it's difficult, but there's a mark some very good horsemen. And, I've always thought that, and I mean, I've no qualms about him.
But he won't ride Constitution Hill, will he? No.
But, I mean, no. Mark's, he's JP's sort of full-time jockey in Ireland. So, I mean, he's a very, very high-class jockey.
So with Constitution, what will you still give him this gallop this week, or will you scrap Ireland?
No, definitely not.
Are you able to tell us who will ride him in the gallop, Nicky?
Yes, we should give us half a chance. The plan is that we will continue as programmed. He will have a gallop on Friday morning. Now that, again, is something that Nico would always do. And, he used to ride him in all his fast work. And I don't say they were trials, but they were a very easy way of Nico and I to find out exactly where the horse was. Doesn't mean you gallop him flat out and either way he's good or bad. He just knows what it is. Now, James is going to be riding him.
Right.
He will be riding him, and he's coming down for his in Perth today. He's coming down Friday morning and then flying back up to Perth after Friday morning. So as much as Mark came over to ride Jonbon this morning, James is coming down to ride Constitution Hill on Friday morning. He will have the gallop, which was always going to happen on Friday morning. So I know the timing is perfect. It's a week before his race. I already had a pretty good idea what he'd be working with, and because you sort of think about these things. And James will be on him, and then we need to just decide between ourselves, and that's between Nico, James, and myself. We need to decide what we're going to jump. He needs to jump something, obviously. He hasn't scored since Aintree. It took him a few days to come back from Aintree. He was sore. Philippa, our physio, has been working away like video, and I'm very happy over the last week that he has returned in. He's really picked himself up now.
Right.
So the gallop is crucial. We know exactly what we expect, and if we get what we expect and want, then he will travel. If we don't, he won't. It's very simple, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We'll know immediately. And if it's 98%, he'll be going to the field. If it's 100%, he can go and have a little play with State Man. Won't be a little play either, will it?
Well, I actually think it will be, to be honest.
It'll be a hell of a game.
I mean, I'm absolutely convinced, Nicky. I've always been convinced. I might be a bit biased, I guess, because I am a Constitution Hill sort of freak fan, but I am absolutely sure he'd have won the Champion Hurdle. I'm absolutely sure he'd have won at Aintree. So, I don't think State Man's got any chance of beating him at all.
Well, I love what you say, and all I can say is keep the faith, because that's what we have to do. Otherwise, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I love hearing it because it gives us the boost,
Yeah.
Appreciate it. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Well,
It's great for them. So there we go. And James is riding at his. He and his brother, they're just great to watch. They are brilliant, both of them.
Yeah.
And James is, he gave us a lovely ride that one last night, and he'll be riding lots and loads of them.
and I know everyone's going to know in the morning, but will James ride Lucky Place?
Yes.
Right. Great. I like that horse. So looking
So
forward
do
to it.
I like the race for him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were saying the other day that you'd be quite happy for the Skeltons to be champion trainer, which surprised a few people because you and Willie are kind of great buddies.
Oh, yeah, but I mean we are, and that's why I think I support them both, if that could be said. Do you know what I mean? It's correct. I agree with what you say. Willie and I great buddies, and so is Dan. We all get on very well. Dan is, and I was talking to JP just a while ago, who, as you know, JP is Jonbon's. Well, he just adores the horse. But I said to him, there's one person that's adoring Jonbon more than anybody at the moment. So that is Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's virtually ringing me up every day, making sure Jonbon's okay.
Yeah. The only thing is, Nicky, you can't support Man United and Man City. You can't. You have to have one.
There's lots of things I can do, but
Well, look, it's fraught with. The main thing is that although Nico is badly injured, he could be a lot worse injured. So that's the main thing. And
that's miles the most important thing out of this whole thing. It was horrendous for, and we're all just grateful that he will be back, and he's back with Serena and the kids to have a nice summer with them, and I hope he'd be back long before we start to get going, which, as will be some while away once Punchestown is over.
Yeah. And finally, Nicky, because I'll let you go because you'll have a million phone calls on the back of the news you've given out already this morning, is just to say that this podcast has one more episode of its current 25-episode series, and you and Nico have played a massive part in it by the fact you ring back and you answer the phone and all that. So from this podcast and actually any other podcast that you do lots of work on as well, thank you for being so easygoing and easy to talk to. It really makes a difference.
Thanks, Nicky.
Thanks, Matt. We enjoyed it anyway.
Have a good day and good luck this week.
Thanks, Matt.
In Hendo we trust. One of the conversations that's come up recently, we'll talk about a few topics now. Weighing rooms. I mean, probably for the public, it's quite a boring conversation. But just on a very basic level, top sports people in desperate sports conditions doesn't seem right, does it?
Not really, Matt, but when you go back to when I was riding Richard Johnson, Tony Mackay, we would rock up at the races most days, and it was what it was. We were never there to sit in a fancy chair and have a nice looking window. You were there to win. Now things have changed. Of course they have. You're bringing bikes and running machines into the weigh room, and obviously there's nowhere to put them. There wasn't anywhere to put them, so they're ending up in the toilets next to the cubicles. It's not ideal, but they've got to make changes, and I'm sure they will. But for me, I never went into the weigh room to have a comfortable seat.
I have said this from day one. Saunas. I think it's outrageous that there are not saunas in every single weighing room in the country, or jockeys' rooms. It just seems so obvious to me. It worries me for the jockeys if they're doing these alterations to weighing rooms now, to jockeys' changing rooms, that the saunas aren't just being put back in at the same time. Because kind of, for me, it gives the racecourses an excuse to say, well, we've just done all these upgrades. Now you want saunas. No. You do the saunas with the upgrades, because that just makes logic. And I said it years ago in many articles I've written. If the argument is, oh, but one jockey might try and lose 14 pounds in a day. Then you weigh the jockey into the sauna, and when he's take 3 or she's taken 3 pounds off, you weigh them out of the sauna. It's not rocket science, is it, to make sure that someone's not taking off 8 pounds? It's very easy to monitor.
No, but, you know, I always found with the sauna, not that I had to use it a lot, but if you were going to the races with £2 to lose and you knew you had a sauna, for me, that was probably the healthiest way to lose the £2.
So obvious.
For lads driving in a sweatsuit, running around the track, dressed with a sweatsuit and as many jackets as they can get on, that's probably worse.
And I'm no doctor.
No, you're definitely not.
No, but every time I know people would just say, yeah, right. But I do go to the gym and I do 15 minutes in the steam room and I do 15 minutes in the sauna every time I do it. And I come out and I actually go in the ice pool in between. And I find it's the freshest I feel ever is coming out of that situation. 50 minutes, ice pool. Now, I know jockeys might have to go in perhaps a bit longer. I don't know how long it takes to do 2 pounds, but they probably do all the oils and stuff like that. Makes you sweat even more. But, you know, I completely understand you can find a study out there anywhere that can say everything is unhealthy. Yeah, I'm sure there's millions of studies that say saunas are unhealthy, dehydration, all that stuff. I know. But what they're doing instead is much more unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's just, look, it's not a natural sport, is it? People aren't naturally 8 stone who should be 12 stone.
Yeah. Do you think there's any chance they could bring the saunas back in?
Well, if they can't afford just to put changing rooms in, I mean, it's all down to money. It's nothing to do with health. This is the sad thing, sir. Paddy, this is the sad thing, that it's nothing to do with health. It's literally money. And a sauna isn't the most expensive thing on earth. It's you're not talking hundreds of thousands here to put a sauna in. I just think it's so obvious.
Yeah.
And it's wrong. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. Couple of little things. Got a picture from Tom Bellamy. He's been doing his thing again. He's been going out. So actually, I don't know what Bell's situation is with his arm at the moment. I might just very quickly give him a buzz so we can just update him. He's been a good contributor to the show. But he's been out dressed as Top Gun. The picture is on screen for you to have a look at right now. So that is Tom Bellamy, who's taken this Top Gun thing to a whole new level. And there is one more person I want to mention. Let's see if Tom answers. He can only be sat at home watching Top Gun. Probably.
He could be in Oxley House or whatever stuff.
Hi, you're live on Unbridled, Tom.
Just swear at you then as well.
You can.
All right. We were fully prepared for that. The bleep machine was ready. So I've just shown this new picture of you dressed now in all full Top Gun gear. Are you dressed as a pilot as I'm speaking to you right now?
No, I save that for special occasions for you, Matthew.
Yeah, but we weren't going to tell everyone about those little moments, were we? Well, that was just our little naughty secret. How's your arm? It is your arm, isn't it? Or wrist or something?
Wrist.
Yeah.
Coming along quietly. I'm actually getting my stitches taken out tomorrow. I had a plate put into it.
Ooh.
So they're coming out tomorrow, and then I can get cracking with my rehab after that.
Show off. How many stitches?
I have no idea. I don't even know which side of my arm they are, to be honest. I've got a bandage on it.
Do you know which arm is injured?
Yeah, it is definitely the left one.
So it sounds like it was quite a nasty injury, was it? Was it quite painful?
Yeah, it was displaced, so it looked horrible, but it was, to be honest with you, it hasn't been too sore or anything like that. It's been so far so straightforward, and it's kind of swelling's all getting better all the time, and I'm hoping when they have a look at it tomorrow they'll be happy with the progress.
Okay, roughly timescale.
I am hoping to be another 4 weeks, because Jerry Hill said sort of anywhere between sort of 5 and 8, so I thought that'll be 6, so that's reasonable.
Okay, Tom, thanks for answering. We wish you all the best.
All the best, Tom.
Catch up soon.
Okay, this is Ice, over and out.
Goodbye.
So that's Tom Bellamy. And I just wanted to put this picture up of Kenny Moore, who is Jamie Moore's little boy. Now, Paddy, just have a look at this for style. I just want to show you this. He rode his first pony winner at Cheltenham the other day. Check out that for style.
Yeah, I had seen this photo, and do you know the first thing I recognised was his sleeves. Look at his sleeves, just like Uncle Ryan.
Oh, it's not just up from the wrist.
Just up from the, puts him up. But like,
does that look like, for you, a jockey who's going to make it already. Like, for me, that looks so stylish.
You couldn't see a better picture of a kid his age than that, really.
Yeah.
But, it's okay. Mammy and Daddy will still have to manage him and keep his feet on the ground, but he's got a lot of things to look forward to.
We started by wishing Nico all the best. I think we can safely say that we would finish by, won't we, Paddy? Together.
Yes.
Together. We're wishing Nico all the best.
No, we are.
Aren't we?
Yes.
Okay. This was Unbridled, episode 24. Over and out. There is one more episode to go, and then, Pad, we have completed our contract, which is something I rarely do without getting sacked, so I'm quite pleased that. And he did brilliant. And he did one of Dancing on Ice. 24 done of Unbridled.